Hi everyone, trust you all are doing well. And what we're going to do in this lesson, we're going to be able to allow the user or the admin or moderator to be able to delete a post. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to create a little button next to our edit button to delete the post. All right. There's one or two ways we can do this. There's actually a couple of ways, but I'm just going to mention two. The one is we can use a Livewire component to delete the post with a modal just appearing. So if you want to just to confirm if you want to delete the post. And the second way is just to add the delete button, but in our controller. So let's just go to Visual Studio Code. And inside our controller, we can actually just call this method in a route. Okay. But now the problem with that I find, if you don't run it through a third party, like maybe Ajax or Quest or something like that, with a modal, or then if you click on the delete button, all right, it doesn't give you a confirmation. So once you click the delete button, it deletes the post. It doesn't ask for permission or anything like that. All right, that's not, for me, in my personal opinion, a good user experience. So what you want to do is, we're going to use a template from Jetstream. So let me just show you an example. If we go to John Doe's profile, if you see this right here, we could delete the account. Now let's say I accidentally clicked this button. It would have deleted the account. It wouldn't ask you if are you sure you can delete the account, all right? But we're going to use the same model that comes with the Jetstream, and we will just modify it a bit. So if the user wants to delete a thread, then this model will pop up, and then the user can either delete it or just cancel it. All right, so this is what we're going to do. Just a better user experience. All right, so the next part that we want to do is, if we go back, then we'll add that right there. All right, so let's go to Visual Studio Code. We can delete the destroy method in our thread controller because we're not going to use that method right there. And we're also not going to create a, we're not going to create a job to actually delete the thread. So only going to have a job for create the thread and update the thread, but not for the delete the thread. I know with Laravel.io, they got a delete thread, but we're going to use Livewire to actually do that for us. All right. So the next step for us is to actually create our Livewire component. All right. So let's do that. All right. So open up your terminal, and then you just press PHP artisan make. Then you just put Livewire, right? And then you can name your component. For me, I'm just going to go under the threads. I'm just going to create a folder called threads, all right? And underneath that, I will just create, in that folder, I'm just going to create delete. I'm just going to call it singular thread and then / and delete. All right. So if we want to delete a thread, basically that's what it does. All right. So we create a component. We just press enter. All right. So we created our Livewire component. Congratulations, you have created your first Livewire component. Would you like to show some love by starting the repo? And I'm just going to say yes. It's always good. Let me just go and start. All right. So I'm just starting the repo right there. Very good for us. And for all right. So now that we've finished with that, so let's go to app, HTTP, Livewire. Now you can see we got our delete Livewire component right here. All right. So there's obviously a couple of things that we're going to do in this component first before I bring it in here. But what we can do is actually, let's bring it in here. So in our edit button, so in our index view, okay, so you've got our index. So if we go to HTTP controllers, let's just show you how to get there. In our thread controller, we go to pages thread.index. All right. So resources, views, pages, threads, index. All right. So in our index method, all right, then inside that we got our thread component. All right. So we click on our thread component. All right. Then we will have our edit button right here. Okay. So what you want to do in your absolute component or div element, sorry. Then you want to create another div element with a flex and space x of 2, right? And then inside that, you want to create that can policy. Can the user update the thread, okay, or can they edit it, all right, like this. What we want to do now is we actually just want to paste this one now. Okay, so now since it's the flex item, these two items will be space flex, displayed flex with a space of 2 between them. Okay, so what I want to do now, I just want to remove that secondary button and just put delete in here. You remember that in our thread policy, we created a delete method inside our thread policy. Okay, so if the user can delete the thread, and then that's it. All right, so let's see if we can see this delete button. All right, as you can see, if I refresh here, you would see we got our delete button right there. All right, so let's go. Let's make it a little bit bigger. All right, as you can see, we got our delete button right there. So it all works. So now what we want to do now is we actually want to bring in this button right here. Needs to be that Livewire component. All right, so we put Livewire, as you can see, threads.delete. All right, so just do this. Okay, otherwise my styling doesn't see it right. All right, so now let's go to this Livewire view. So if we go to resources, views, you will see we got a new folder called Livewire now. So in our Livewire, you will see we have thread, and then we will have delete right here. Okay, so let me just put the delete like this, just to see if the button renders. Now, if we go, as you can see in our browser, if we refresh, you will see that delete right there. Just to confirm this is actually coming from that component, let's go back to Visual Studio Code and just call it something else. Something. Okay, just to prove that this comes from our component. So let's go back. And if I refresh, you will see something right there. All right, so we know this is coming from our Livewire component. Okay, so let's go back. So this is going to be our delete button. All right, so there's a couple of things that we're going to obviously put in here. It's going to be Alpine.js stuff. So we're probably going to do this in 2 parts. All right, so the first part, let's go to our delete component. All right, so under app, HTTP, Livewire, thread, delete right here. So we're going to do a couple of methods in here and return it to that view. All right, so the render method is just the view that we want to display. We can actually include some data as well with open and square brackets in Livewire. Then we can pass in some things like that. All right, but for now, we can just return the view. All right, so there's a couple of things that I need to create right there. We need to actually find out what Livewire component we want to delete. And in this case, it will be a thread. So we need to create a public variable called thread. Hopefully, we can get everything done in this lesson. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is create a public variable, and we're going to call it thread. Right, so this will be the single thread that we want to actually get. Right, and now another thing that we want to do is a public variable called confirming thread deletion. Right, so this will be basically if we toggle the modal yes or no. All right, this is where this is coming from. All right, and what it will be is it will be set to false in the beginning. All right, so confirming thread deletion. All right, set it to false. Now we're going to create a public method, a public function, and this will be confirm. This is the actual method just to pop up. So confirm thread deletion. The naming convention might sound a little bit the same. This confirming is a little bit different than confirm. All right. So the one is the method and the one is just a variable. All right. So the next thing we're going to do inside our confirming, we're going to reset the error bag. Reset error bag. This just comes with properties with Livewire. Okay. The next thing that we want to do is we want to dispatch a browser event in Livewire. Dispatch. Saw it in a sec there. Dispatch a browser event. Okay. So this is what we're going to do. Confirm. Delete and thread. Okay, so this is the event that we're gonna send to the browser. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is then we're gonna set this to confirming thread deletion. This one right here. Then we're gonna set that to true. Okay, so confirming thread deletion, and then we're gonna set that basically to true. Right. So we got that done. So we got that confirmed. We obviously, all these methods you will see in a sec when we get to our view, right? So if the video gets a bit too long, the reason why I think sometimes it takes too long is because I explain things, right? And if we split it into two, it's rather to understand it and then me just to rush over things, right? So the next thing that's going to actually delete the thread that we want to delete. So we're just going to create another public function. And this function will be responsible for actually deleting the thread. So we're going to call it delete thread. All right. And now what this is going to do, this thread, okay, and then we're just going to call the delete method on it. As simple as that. And the next thing that we want to do is we just want to flash this session with a success message. So session, okay, and then we just want to flash the session with a success message. Success. Remember, this is the when we do an alert, this is the session it's actually looking for. So when it sees this session, it will actually flash it. All right. And what we're going to say, thread deleted. You can actually put anything you want in here, right? So if you want a nice little custom message or anything like that, you can do it here. You don't have to name a thread deleted. You can call it sun is red or whatever you want to do. You can do it right there. Okay. So the next thing that we want to do is we want to redirect. All right. So return redirect. All right. To a route. And the route that we want to go to is threads.index. Okay, so the index route right there. Just remember in our thread controller, as you can see, when we created, after we return basically to that same route with the success. This is just a little bit differently how we do it here compared to here, but it does the same thing, right? We could have actually put the session flash in there as well, but yes. All right, I just gave it some space so that you guys can easily see it. So now I'm just going to remove the spacing, right, like this. All right, so we delete the thread right there, then we flash the session, then we redirect it to the index. Okay, so our render view right here is basically handling all of what we're going to do right here. So if we go into our thread right here, let's just see if we've got enough time. I think we don't. So in the next lesson, what we're going to do is we're going to be working with the delete view right here. So in there, we can actually do some Alpine JS stuff to actually and bring in that modal to actually delete it for us. All right. So thank you guys for watching. If you like the video, please give it a like. If you don't, obviously, give it a dislike. Yes. And I appreciate you guys for watching it and just following through and just stick through it with us. We're probably going to do about 100 lessons in this one because there's still a lot to do. As the user needs to reply to a post, they need to like the post and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot to do. And we're going to use quite a bit of Livewire to do that kind of things and stuff like that. So we'll be going into the Livewire space from going forward, and you will see quite a lot of Livewire stuff. And just another thing that I want to mention, if you guys go to the profile right here, the index page right here, so if the user wants to see all their threads in the index method, all that we're just going to update in separate lessons. But for now, we're going to be just dealing with the user on the front end side right here. So as they can edit the post and all that kind of stuff here, but on their profile right here, under the index or create method, we will actually put those buttons in there as well. So if they put in the index, they will have all the posts that they have done, created, and the edit and delete buttons and stuff like that, but we will do that in a separate lesson. All right. So thank you guys for watching. And if you like I said before, thank you and goodbye.